Say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Dear Dharma friends, and sometimes you hear this samsara is so long, and sometimes we think we came from this samsara, eons, 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 we passing this journey, and in the future there are going to be eons. So remember, in conventionally, even though we mention this way, when it comes to vipassana level of understanding, there is no samsara to future. If you able to become very clear with this moment, always your future going to depend on the moment you spend. Because always your future going to be according to your present moment of the mind. So otherwise, if the samsara to the future, why we have to do this all? How we can get out of it? So what you do in this very moment, it is very matter, because according to that, your future going to be longer or shorter. So then other thing is, it doesn't matter how far we came, because if we start to think, oh, I came this much samsaric journey, oh, I have to go like this much, so like that, then we condition ourselves. When we condition ourselves, and that is a very wrong kind of view that we're going to get into life. You have, because your mind is so powerful than you think. And if you 100% become completely clear, without, just imagine, without anything from your past so far, whatever happened, without that any thoughts, any mental formations, any sanskara, if you able to 100% develop the clarity in you in this very moment, that going to change your entire life. So who hold you? Why you cannot change from this all? Why we cannot change from our own habits? Who hold you? There is no any power holding you. It is your own mind. Another thing is, and sometimes you no need, you don't want it. So if you don't want, even the entire world change, you're not going to change. So that's why yourself you have to decide, do you want this or not? And if you don't want, and you have to see why you don't want it, this. Because you have to be fair with the life also. If you don't want, if you don't look for future, if you don't need any existence anymore, why? What is the reason? Because if with the wrong reason, if you try to look for that, then that also not going to happen. So then remember, so whatever happened in the past, or whatever going to happen in the future, don't depend on that, but always remember, keep the clarity in this moment. If it is happen tomorrow, it will happen. But why you spending this moment thinking about tomorrow, or even the samsaric journey? There are some people and say, oh, this samsara is so long. So see, then already their mind conditioned for the long journey. Then how about this moment? In the Vipassana level, that's why it's always take a one second you to transform this all. How? You only, the very first thing you have to bring the clarity to yourself. Remember the mind that you have. It's like, I'll give an analogy to understand that. It is like the sun. The thought you carry with all these conventional desires is like a candlelight. So you have the sun, but you don't use it, but you become more comfortable with the candlelight. So it is your choice. Another thing is, the consciousness is like the sky, and your thoughts are like the clouds. But the thing is, sometimes you enjoy the clouds thinking it is the sky. Sky is not the cloud. But if you become very limited to the clouds, you don't see the sky. And sometimes look, and the people say, when they look suddenly the sky, and if there are different kind of clouds, and they say, oh, the sky is beautiful. And sometimes I ask, how do you see that sky? And suddenly they talk about the cloud. The same thing happened to us also. Sometimes you don't experience your awareness or your consciousness. You just experience your thoughts, and thinking and holding to thoughts, you think it is the mind. No. So to see the mind, you have to let go the thoughts. So in meditation, that is what we do, little by little, little by little. But remember yourself, in day-to-day life, you have to have a little bit practice yourself every day, moment by moment, moment by moment. Try to take the thoughts out. Allow, like as example, when you do something, just do it. That doesn't mean you practicing meditation. No, it's a training, little by little. Because when you sit for meditation, then it becomes helpful. Why? Because the everyday mind, the way you do maintain your mind, going to become your life. Anything, the same thing with the body also. If you every day use your body in a certain way, then it become muscle memory. The naturally body start to get used to it. So the same way with the mind also. So mostly what we does, when we do something, we think something else. So take out that all the unnecessary thoughts. When you do something, be very limited to that. So in the very first thing, remember, always whatever you do, and give your fully attention and take your fully responsibility. And when you take the fully responsibility, you taming the mind yourself. Without punishing it, you take it as a responsibility. So the very first thing, learn to tame the mind. Without punishing yourself, without that making more hard yourself, without abusing your mind yourself, have the compassion. And first, the very first step, little by little, anything, whatever you do, why? If you make a mistake, then things going to become more worse. Even that brushing your teeth. and doing whatever, the washing your things and cooking. See, if you make a mistake, what will happen? Then you have to think about it. And thinking like that, you become mindful. So that way it become more easy for you. So then, and that will take you to the next level. So very first thing, start to tame the mind. Don't try to punish or don't try to push so hard. Don't try to abuse yourself, especially when it comes to meditation. Why? Because when people practice meditation mostly, they become kind of like unnatural people. Why you become unnatural? What's the wrong practicing meditation? What is the wrong with other people or with the other life? Why you becomes kind of like somebody, kind of like a different person? Look at most of time people when they start to practice meditation, sometimes they don't like this ordinary lifestyle. What's wrong with that? So why we cannot see the very nature of everything? Why we cannot accept anything as it is? When we look for the truth, you have to be truthful. Without becoming truthful, how are you going to look for the truth? So when you go to the very nature, when you look for the nature, that means Dharma, you have to be natural. If you cannot be natural, even you see the nature, you cannot recognize it because you are somebody else. This very basic principle you have to understand. That's why when you come to Dharma, when you practicing the Dharma, and you become more natural person. So in that moment, when you see in the world that anything can happen, then the people different and there are reasons to become different. So you accept it. You don't go with anything and you don't resist. So you don't resist your inside your thoughts. And as you know, in the 5 aggregates, once you release the desire to become, the very next things happening, you release from the resistance yourself, from your mind. Once you release from the mind, when you are not having any resistance or go against anything in your mind, how it is possible? It can happen in the outside world. It's not going to happen. So that's why, so remember yourself. If you look for the nature, be natural. If you want the truth, be truthful to yourself. Then you're going to see it. So that's why in the very beginning, when you sit for meditation, when you practice meditation in day-to-day life, whatever you do, and it's you don't need to make it kind of like, oh, I practice meditation, and you don't need to kind of like put a label on it. No, our whole life is like that. So in day-to-day life, whatever you do consciously, but that doesn't mean it is a meditation. No, that help for your practice. Why you practice? You practice because that is the very nature of the human being, to become conscious. So then you developing yourself, you cultivating yourself. That is it. And why you have to cultivate yourself? Because that is where you're going to be really who you are. And that is where you're going to really settle down yourself, and that make you comfortable. That make you more peaceful. Because when you become somebody else, and if it is not your true nature, it always creates a disease, disconnect. So that's why when you practice meditation, you become healthy. It is not a kind of like a medication. So that is what, because when you become your true nature and you become comfortable and your whole nerve system start to react in a different way. We are the one who practice that. All these animals cannot do it. Why? Because the fear inherent inside them. It doesn't matter whatever the animal. That's why the very best thing that you can do to animal is not feeding. You no need to feed to animal. It is very wrong idea. If you have the cat or the dog or whatever the animal you think that putting cloth and giving food is the best to animal. No, that is not the best. That if you really take care of the animal and if you love the animal, giving food is not the best, because they have their own way to find the food. The very best thing that you can give, take out them from the fear. That's why from the ancient time, the kings, the very best thing that they do to animals, and they release from the death. And when you see that whatever you do in a very special time period, mostly like Independence Day, some other times, you free the animals. And Independence Day come, when the New Year Day come, you may see, you free the prisoners. So for the animal world, the giving freedom from death is the best gift that you can give, because they are inherent with the fear. So, but ourselves, that if you able to focus your mind little by little in the day-to-day activities, little by little yourself, and your best is the developing the awareness. And we are the only one can develop that awareness. Maybe that there are some other higher existence, but that's why even to attain to Buddhahood, if there is any other place, why they come here? To all the Arahantans, enlightened masters, if there is another place, why they come here? All the stories in the eons, all the Buddha's stories, they all come to human world. It doesn't matter whatever the existence. They know any other place going to appear anybody as a Buddha. Maybe the deities or the gods can exist, but no Buddha. The Buddha means that is the highest level of the human intellect. So then you have the same. So then you have to every day try to use that. Don't try to use anything else. It's kind of like then you insulting, you neglecting your intelligence means you insulting it. It's like that is a very dangerous thing. Remember, you neglecting your husband, wife, children, friends and family members is a kind of like that is the very bad way that you insulting them, neglecting me. That's why sometimes that is one of the biggest punishment in that the neglecting. So the same thing happened to us. So then if you neglect the power of the mind or your awareness, your true nature, you insult itself. Don't do that. So that's why the meditation is nothing but you go to your origin, your beginning point. It is your birthright to be mindful, be aware. That's why the Buddha mentioned the one of the most dangerous karma that you can do. It is danger than the killing. Make you ignorance the people and teaching the wrong things. regarding the samsara or the nibbana or the guiding wrong way to their spirituality. That is so that the more powerful than killing bad karma. Why? Because the awareness is the most beautiful thing that people can experience. Each and every person, even though we are different in the skin, age, color, that's according to country, but when it comes to human being, we all have the same ability to experience the ultimate truth. That is the only place you're going to be completely happy. There's no any other place. So then yourself remember, in day-to-day life, when you do certain things, you do it to be happy yourself. But always remember, out of that, all the activities, become conscious and becoming mindful, bringing you kind of like the most beautiful experience to yourself. So in the beginning, that's why tame the mind. Don't abuse it. Respect it, keep the respect and appreciate it. And with the calm and relaxed, comfortable mind, you start to do it. Another thing is when you do that and you start to train the mind. So that is where the discipline comes. Training means discipline. You discipline the mind. I don't think that. I don't look that. I don't watch this. I don't eat this. So it is not somebody doing it. It is not a punishment. So today we have a misunderstanding. Sometimes when it comes to the word called discipline, people think it is a punishment. No, the discipline comes out of the training. If you don't train, you don't need to discipline. If you don't want to train, you don't need discipline. But if you want to train, you have to discipline. It's naturally come. And that training, little by little, transform you. Taming, training, transforming. And then little by little, it brings the result and you see the difference and you get into the path. And that is then the transcend. So that is what, this is how this happened, moment by moment, moment by moment. But yourself remember, the very first thing, you are like the sun, so don't live with the candlelight. Another thing is, don't get lost with the clouds. If you can see the sky, start to see the sky. And that is where you see, even though we are with this, everything, and you and me, everybody knows this is for a moment. But we need for the moment. But that doesn't mean don't holding this and get into tomorrow is, no, it is not the way. So then it is not it doesn't matter how far you came or how far you go, don't focus to that. Focus to the moment, in this very moment. Try to get into the best level of your awareness each and every day. No matter what, whatever happened, don't get disturbed out of your past. Don't get disturbed out of whatever regarding the future. Always remember that we perform your highest level of awareness in the moment. So then how are we going to plan about that? When you able to focus and when you able to be in the moment very clearly, you're going to see the future. Thinking about future and seeing the future, two different things. So as example, the enlightened masters like the Buddha, even 3 months before, I'm told I'm going to pass away. And this, that, like that. There are a lot of monks, there are a lot of teachers. And then when they're ready to pass away, maybe within 3 months, 4 months, and within 1 month, then they tell, don't do this, don't start this, and I'm going to end this like that way. Now you have to take this, so you take this responsibility like that they tell. They see the past, the future, but not thinking about it. So that's why you're going to see what happened tomorrow if you able to really become mindful and be clear with the moment. And so that way, it's nothing going to miss. But only thing is, give your best, and always whatever you do, and you perform your best with the moment and without abusing the mind. That is the most important thing. Remember, that's why it tell, don't take drugs, don't take alcohol, don't smoke, so like that. So because once you abuse the mind, it's very difficult to bring back, not only mind, that everything. Once something go wrong, it is very difficult to bring back. So that's why the most beautiful thing that you have is your mind, your life. So keep it fresh, keep it new. And that newness every day, try to keep going. No matter what happens, don't get disturbed about it. Keep that newness. You can do that. You can do it. You can rebuild it again and again. So with that way, you will see how you can change the whatever if something going to happen in the future, then when you become very clear with the moment, you're going to see. So with that, I'm going to tell you a story coming from this samurai. And there was a samurai leader called Nobunaga. So the Nobunaga was a very famous warrior in samurai history. And mostly when they hear the name of the Nobunaga, they know the secret what they had, because Nobunaga had the coin. He had the coin. And so I tell you the story. So there was a final battle. Nobunaga had only 10, with him only 10 soldiers. And in the other side, there was 100, there were 100 soldiers, samurais. And Nobunaga knew that. But Nobunaga knew this 10 people more skillful than that 100 opponents. So, but it is very difficult to explain that they have 100. So then on the way to battlefield, there was a Shinto temple. And the Nobunaga told, we don't know what's going to happen. So let me first go and worship the temple. And then I will come and will toss the coin. If we get the head, we're going to win the battle. So then there's all other 9 soldiers, samurais, all young. And they were waiting in front of the temple. And Nobunaga went to the temple and started to pray. And after he finished, he came and tossed the coin. And then in front of everybody, he got the head. And then they went to the battle and they won the battle. 100 people, just imagine, 10 samurai fight with 100 samurais. And they won the battle. And they came back. And that is the last battle that the Nobunaga went. And then there was in that 9 students, his followers, the youngest one, he was the kind of like the less experienced, but he whatever that he was the favorite for everybody, because he used to do everything for everyone. Whatever others tell, he used to help for everybody. So then when the final battle finished, the Nobunaga came, and then that day, end of the evening, then everybody happy, and this a student make dinner soup and gave to Nobunaga.
And then Nobunaga told, so I'm going to give my secret to you and keep this. And don't tell to anybody. That is the, don't tell to anybody, just keep it with you. And so then he placed the coin. And the both side, head, no tail. And then Nobunaga told, remember, in this battle of life, you don't see the tail. You always see the head, and you always place the head, and you always cut the head. So that's a samurai saying. It is a very powerful. And to digest yourself sometimes, you have to think about it. But always remember, especially for this young generation, when you parenting, for your children, and you always have to tell them. And I always, when I go to schools and when I hold the session for children, and I see, and they are not like previous children. Now they are more different. And they don't see the strength and the courage with the life mostly. They always look for the help or something. But always remember, in battle of life, you don't place for the tail. You don't go for the tail. You always go for the head. Even in the meditation, that's why we always place for the highest. So that is vipassana. There's nothing else. We don't go with the tail. So always remember that yourself. And with that, I bless upon everyone with this good practice. May all of you be well, happy and peaceful. May no harm come to you. May no difficulties come to you. May no problems come to you. May you also have the patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome inevitable difficulties in your life. During this time period, may everyone stay healthy and safe. And finally, may all of you attain supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sabbityo vajjantu sabbarogo vinasatu mate bhavatantarayo sukhi dika yuko bhava. Ittavata cammehi sampadam punya sampadam sabbe deva numodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Sabbe bhuta numodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Sabbe satta numodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Idamme punya kammang asavakkayavang otu sabba dukkha pancatu. Bless you.